All right, so one of the things that I kind of realized after doing the first couple little bits and pieces with this lathe is the amount of overhang that this thing has on the front of the compound here is pretty considerable. The way this is set up in comparison to my Logan doesn't really seem like this particular lathe really lends itself very well to a quick change tool post, just because of the compound. I'm not saying it can't be done, just this was the technology. I'm assuming this was the technology of the day back in 1929. I think that's the birth date of this thing. But this seems to get the tooling out farther from the compound and have less problems with the jaws running into this poor thing like it has plenty of times by the looks of things. So I'm thinking maybe this is really the best direction for me to go on this. When I was trying that, I'm not sure what that other style of tool post holder was, but basically it just had everything, right off here, right in close proximity, and it just didn't seem like it was terribly practical with the layout of this machine. This really seems like the direction to go. I'm sure there's probably modernized versions that work better, but for the type of work I do anyways, I think this is really going to be effective for me. I've got a left, a right, and a on-center tool holder, which I'll show you here in a minute. So it seems, why fight it? I've got the stuff to do it with. I've got some carbide inserts and some high-speed steel stuff for these. So I'm thinking, that's just my train of thought right now. I could change my mind a dozen times before I actually settle onto something permanently. But I'll take the camera out and show you what I mean here in just a second as far as the amount of overhang that the compound has on the hendey in comparison to the overhang on the Logan here. All right. Now, I know it probably really doesn't seem like much looking through the lens on this thing, but it really is causing some issues as far as if I were just to try and have a tool sticking off here. That's just not much clearance in comparison to this. Having a tool sticking off like that seems to work quite well. So, any rate, maybe I'll think of something else better in the future, but this seems to be the direction to go. So this is what I've got. I think this one's an Armstrong. This one's an Armstrong. And this is some other brand name. But this one and this one both take 1/2 inch high-speed steel or 1/2 inch, carbide tipped inserts. This one appears to be just 3/8. So, I've got plenty of oddball little bits and pieces to make that work. And then I'll have all kinds of stick out on the tool and should be a pretty reasonable amount of rigidity. So I think that I just don't think is quite the direction to go with this particular machine. And one of the other things I can easily do is modify this. This is what I've been using on the Logan quite frequently. I've got a whole bunch of these partially used, I can't remember, something, carbide inserts. So anyways, I just need to mill this down a little bit further, or for that matter, I probably am overdue to make a nicer version of this than this rusty hunk of steel that I cut off. But that's what I've been using primarily on the Logan, and I've been extremely happy with it. And it'll fit the left and right Armstrong holders, or Armstrong type holders. So anyways, I think that's the direction I'm going to wind up going with this in the future. Just a little update for the Hendey.